You said honesty is important. Does that translate to every area of your life? Like, do you make an effort to live an authentic life in all its forms?
I do. I try to. I mean, I'm a huge believer in karma. So I believe that everything that you put out comes back to you.
Eventually
It's
does, really does.
it's like a boomerang. So if you're throwing out negativity, negativity is going to come back to you. If you're throwing out positivity, that's going to come back to you. So I try to be as positive and genuine and honest and compassionate and kind in all my daily dealings. But I have off days. I mean, there's times when I haven't slept and I've had a hectic schedule and someone comes and sticks a camera in my face or says something nasty and I may react.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't reached nirvana yet. We're still human.
still
and
human,
abhi enlightenment nahi hua hai.
कोशिश जारी है. I'm hoping that one day I'll be like the Buddha.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Unbox with Tunvey, a podcast where we try and unravel human behavior through conversations with our guests. Today I have with me actor, DJ, music producer, Ashmit Patel. Thank you so much, Ashmit, for doing this. I know you have a very hectic schedule, but thank you for taking time.
My pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure.
So tell me, you're doing so many things, and we'll talk a little bit more about acting, but how did the music kida bite you?
So the music kida actually has always been there ever since I was a teenager. At that point, I was into electronic music, psychedelic trance actually. And I used to go to Goa for those classic rave parties. And I used to have a great time dancing. So this one particular rave party, which was on a New Year's Eve, there were about 3,000-4,000 people having the time of their lives, dancing away into the morning. And I just looked at the DJ and I'm like, all of us are having an amazing time, but this guy is the puppeteer making his puppets dance to his tunes.
Like the Pied Piper.
Yeah, so what must he be feeling? I want to feel that feeling. So that's when the early bug bit me when I was a teenager. And one day I said, one day I'll be doing that. One day I will be a DJ. But at that point, I never thought that that was a viable option for me. Coming from a business family, my whole education was actually geared towards
joining the
family business. Being the only son, I had to take over and all of that. So even acting was not on the radar at the time. But in 2014, post the release of this film I had done called Jai Ho with Salman Khan, the film didn't do as well as was expected, and I had obviously great expectations, thinking it's a Salman Khan film.
It can't go wrong.
It'll shatter the box office. It did okay, but not as amazing as I would have wanted it to, or anyone would have wanted it to. So at that point, I took a decision that I would not take on any work until I was completely 100% invested in it. Because prior to that, I was doing, if the script was 19-20 ऐसे चलो कर लेते हैं पैसा ठीक है अच्छा है चलो कर लो. So I took a very conscious decision that I'll take a bit of a sabbatical till that one thing that really excites me comes my way. But it didn't come for a long time. And the creative bug was still in me, swimming around saying, come on, do something, your juices need to flow. So that's when I was chatting with a friend of mine who is a music producer and used to play the djembe. And I just told him, I was like, bro, I think I want to learn how to DJ. He's like, really? How come? I said, I've always wanted to, didn't you know? He's like, no, you've never mentioned it. I said, yeah, I want to. He's like, I'll teach you. I said, you know how to play? He said, yeah, I used to be a DJ. I said, come on, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So
I bought this lessons.
Yeah, I bought this little mini DDJ SB. It was like a console that big. I remember it was for 22,500 rupees.
No, the first investment we make in a new career is always memorable.
Yeah. And I still have that player with me, even though I don't think it works anymore. But
no, that's memory.
Memories, yeah. And that's how it started. And then we decided to collaborate. He would play the djembe, I would mix tracks, and he played the djembe, which was an African percussion instrument, over the tracks that I would mix, and we became like this duo, and we started touring all over India, and we've done a few overseas gigs as well.
So nice. But was it an easy decision, because I realized that when you're in media, it seems very glamorous from the outside. Any version of media, could be news, it could be entertainment, it could be fiction, music. from the outside, it all seems interesting. And I think now with a lot of the BTSs coming out, people are realizing it's not always glamorous. There's a lot of work that goes behind. But I've been in television for so many years, and I just feel, and I was a freelancer for a huge chunk of it, which means that you get a project and then you don't get a project. How do you deal with the uncertainty of it all?
I'm still trying to figure it out. Yeah.
It's a tough one,
it's part and parcel of the gig economy, because you're literally from paycheck to paycheck, gig to gig. You don't know when your next paycheck is coming in. Right. And that uncertainty, that instability is something that I still haven't been able to crack. I still go through periods of anxiety when I have a long gap. I still have sleepless nights, and my monkey mind starts playing games with me, thinking, should I think of something else? Is it the end of the road? Do I need to look at other options? Is this career done and dusted for me? Be it acting or be it DJing. It's just the nature of the animal that. But then the highs are so high when you're playing, or when you're in front of the camera, or when your film releases and it gets appreciated. So. I don't know. It seems worth it. Yeah, it does really seem worth it.
I think maybe it's like, a lot of mothers say that, you go through the pain of birthing, and at that point you swear to yourself, I'm never ever going to do this again, and this is crazy. And then when you see the baby, you kind of forget. Maybe it's kind of like that.
Yeah, especially with films, because you spend so many months.
Yeah, true.
Working on it, and the process doesn't end after shooting. There's a post-production, there's a dubbing, there's all of that which goes into it.
And then there's a whole marketing and
promotion. You're on the road for maybe a month to promote it. It is kind of like delivering a baby, and each baby is special, whether it hits or misses. It's a nice high, and I think, I can speak for myself. I'm always chasing the next high. So I don't know.
So there's lots of youngsters who are getting into this field, or maybe right now just aspiring to get into it. What's something you tell them, how one can be prepared or better prepared for this kind of a lifestyle? Because it's not a 7 तारीख को आपको salary मिल जाएगी kind of career.
I want to actually take advice from them, because now the new generation has grown up with a camera in their hands.
Yeah, that's true.
They this reels ka zamana hai, and everyone's an actor making
doing some very interesting amazing
stuff.
Work,
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of rubbish out there too.
Yeah, also.
And also a lot of people with followers are now taking the work away from actors because they feel that, followers हैं तो already हमारा set audience है.
That's true.
नहीं भाई, producers, directors ऐसा नहीं होता है. I think they've also begun to realize that trend is now ending or has slowed down.
Yeah, unless you bring some talent to the table, then it kind of makes sense.
The followers that are following you are looking at
a certain kind of content.
Exactly, that kind of content that you're putting out on your reels. So why would they go into a theatre or watch you on a web series? Also, I mean, I have no problem with influencers or content creators being cast as long as they fit the bill and they know how to act. But I've seen a lot of people who are just shouldn't be in front of the camera, in my opinion.
So when you're in front of the camera, was it something that came naturally to you when you did your first film? And let's say now you've shot a lot of web series and there's some films that are in the pipeline, but and one of your interviews in fact even said that I'm probably doing, you're being pushed to your limits and you're doing some of your best work right now. But what goes on in your mind when you're in front of the camera? So
I think I have, like everyone, with experience evolved. In the beginning, I can say it now when I go back and look at some of my work that, oh my God, what was I doing?
I think that's true for everybody. When you see your first project, first painting, first movie, first television show, you think it's cringeworthy sometimes.
Cringeworthy, some of it. But there was always an element of honesty in everything that I did.
That's amazing.
So I may not have been textbook in some scenes, and my dialogue delivery may not have been perfect, but I know that the emotion that I was conveying was always honest. So I think that honesty is what people connect with when you're doing a film or when you're in a series. That's what the audience connects with.
I think that's true anywhere. Even, even when I'm having a conversation, if this conversation starts to sound fake at some point, people
will
will change the channel. They might still change the channel.
Please don't change the channel, guys.
But I do feel that people have like a bullshit meter, and
True.
they can spot it immediately. They may not have the words for it, but
they'll just
that's
tune out.
instinctively
They'll
they
just be
tune
like,
out.
yeah, nahi, this is not working. Swipe. It's the swiping ka zamana where you're just like
Moving on. Yeah, it's not
move on,
working.
Move on. The attention span is so limited these days.
Yeah,
So
that's also true. That's also true. In all of the stuff that you do, you said honesty is important. Does that translate to every area of your life? Like, do you make an effort to live an authentic life in all its forms?
I do. I try to. I mean, I'm a huge believer in karma. So I believe that everything that you put out comes back to you.
Eventually
It's
it really does.
it's like a boomerang. So if you're throwing out negativity, negativity is going to come back to you. If you're throwing out positivity, that's going to come back to you. So I try to be as positive and genuine and honest and compassionate and kind in all my daily dealings. But I have off days. I mean, there's times when I haven't slept and I've had a hectic schedule and someone comes and sticks a camera in my face or says something nasty and I may react.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't reached nirvana yet. We're still human.
still
And अभी
human,
enlightenment नहीं हुआ है. So,
कोशिश जारी है. I'm hoping that one day I'll be like the Buddha and
not get
bliss.
affected by circumstances. But I think that's such a valuable thing to take away because, and you mentioned compassion and kindness. I think that those are such important qualities that people are, well, I think some people are remembering them more, but there's a whole bunch of others that are
forgetting it. And honestly, also with film actors, I can say this, my colleagues will probably hate me for this, but so many of them are putting on this disguise. The minute they step out of their homes, it's a role they're playing. And I get it that you need to protect yourself because there's so much coming your way, there's so much
somebody will troll you, somebody will make a
there's
meme
people
or whatever.
are looking at you, or they have a certain perception of you. If you're too open, if you're too available, they'll jump on you.
Yeah,
so you
you'll
need
get taken advantage of.
I mean, maybe not the best example, but say for Salman Khan, he has this very don't FUCK with me vibe.
Yeah.
Because
we're on YouTube. You can use the word.
Don't fuck with me vibe. So, I guess that's somewhere his protective,
I think all
his
of us
shield,
have some kind of
his armor that he puts on. I'm not saying you need to go to that extent, but film actors or people who are popular and are getting a lot of attention, they're not what you would actually see them behind their closed doors. So something for all you guys out there who are big fans of all celebrities, understand that firstly they're humans and they can have off days, but also they're not everything that they portray to be.
Yeah, because I think when you which is why so many people who are living famous lives have very tight clique of friends or a tight circle, because that's the space where you can truly be yourself and not be judged.
Absolutely.
Harshly.
I've always thought about it. Why do famous people always hang out with famous people? Why do rich people always hang out with the rich people?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
I've had issues with it. I connect with everybody, and I'm not super rich or anything. I'm not anywhere close to it, but I do come from a
certain privilege.
Privilege, and I can't help that. That's just the way what I was born into. But I've always questioned this because I connect with people based on who they are, not what they have or what they're wearing or fame or any of that nonsense. But this is the same conclusion that I came to, that people who are famous or rich feel comfortable. They don't feel like there's someone going to be taking advantage of their fame or their wealth or whatever. But I mean, I don't know. Can you throw some light on it?
I don't know, but I think I kind of buy into the premise that you're the kind of conclusion that you've come to. I do understand
Birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah, because I do feel that you need to be in a space where you feel safe. It doesn't matter whether you're a celebrity or you're a regular person. You need a space where you can feel safe and not judged, and that you're not going to be taken advantage of. That's what friends are.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. When you become big and famous, just figuring out your friends from foes probably just becomes a whole other ball game and battle, right? Because you just can't tell. You just can't tell.
Especially with actors, because they're such good actors.
Oh, fun. on. You're wearing a very interesting medallion. What is it? I've been meaning to ask you.
So this is the logo of my, initially what started out as my music label, Ashram Collective. It is now also an event management company, an artist management company.
Oh, wow.
I DJ under this label.
Because it looked like a yantra to me,
It is, that's the Shri Yantra.
Huh.
And then there's the two pyramids, me and my ex-partner, who is not part of the company anymore. And that's the musical staff on which you write music notations. So the foundation being music, everything is emanating from music.
Oh, wow. I didn't think of it like that. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Damn interesting.
These are going to be up for sale very soon, guys. I'm doing some merchandising. This is just a sample piece.
So nice. No, I like it. And I was wondering, I said it looks customized. It doesn't look like something you'd buy off a rack. So
there's a lot of thought and energy and spirituality that has gone into conceiving this. It took me and my designer a while to come up with this, and a lot of money as well. He charged me a whole lot of money.
Well, the thing is, when people are good at what they do, they tend to...
Why not? Yeah, no, I love it, and I had no hesitation or qualms in writing him that check because I love it.
No, it's beautiful.
It's very unique, and whenever I wear it, like you, I get asked about it. And people ask me, where can we buy that? I'm like, not yet.
Yeah, maybe that's the idea for the merchandising. Listen, I've already got a client base ready because they've been asking me for it.
Yeah, for years, and I did some T-shirts in between, but it was on a very small scale. Now I want to do it properly with the, proper fashion, with the oversized T-shirts, and I was doing just the basic sizes and just very ordinary T-shirts. Now I want to do it more streetwear.
Nice, yeah, and I think kids are so fashionable. You don't see badly dressed kids.
It's crazy,
right?
I feel sloppy.
When I look back on my teenage years, most of us went through that ugly duckling phase where you weren't an adult, you weren't a kid, and there weren't any clothes for the in-between age. And so you always looked out of place. And
online shopping has just changed the game. People, and it's so reasonably priced, everything.
Yeah.
So, and you can select from everything. You don't have to be in a particular city or country. Now you can order it from sitting at home. You get everything at your doorstep.
That has its I think that's a huge advantage because it opens up. I grew up in small towns. My dad was in the army, and every time we had to buy something, sometimes we had to go to another city to even eat ice cream, unless my mom made it at home. Like we were posted in a city like Nagrota or Baramulla. So the only ice cream parlor was in Srinagar. So you would have to drive 60 kilometers to Srinagar to get ice cream, unless it got made at home. So I do see huge advantage and an equalizer of sorts. I think e-commerce has really been a great equalizer where kids growing up in smaller towns can also experiment with their personality and explore, their creativity and what they want to do. But it also comes with the downside of excessive consumerism, because now when do you stop? When do the packages, Madam, aapka courier aaya hai?
It's crazy.
How does that stop? And
I struggle with that too, because being in the public space, you're expected to be dressed a certain way, dressed different every time. And my manager keeps telling me, "Bhai, aap वही टी-शर्ट्स, वही टोपी, वही चीज़ें हमेशा पहनते हैं, आपके इंस्टाग्राम पे भी वही है." I said, हाँ, मैं sustainability के लिए poster boy हूँ ना. I'm trying to tell people that it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
And I think recently Alia did that. She wore a sari or something that she had worn
for some
other event.
She repeated it.
She repeated it. And I think that's a great, example that she's setting, being from the younger generation, being a youth star. And also I want to put this out there to all you guys who are watching, that actors get their clothes sponsored. हम पहनते हैं, डिजाइनर हमें भेजते हैं, हम अगले दिन वापस या 2 दिन बाद लॉन्डर करा के वापस भेज देते हैं. We don't buy it. हमारे cupboards इतने
Don't buy into the. You need to own so many clothes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think when Sushmita Sen recently did something of, she wore an outfit that she had worn years ago or something, which I think is great that people are now, setting that example and not putting that pressure on the youth, because it is a pressure to always look different and fashionable, and he's got the latest kicks, and shoes that priced so crazy, these Nike Jordans, and then like 20,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakh. I'm like, are you guys serious?
जूते हैं भाई.
Can I put this?
Yeah,
चप्पल पहन रहा हूँ. मैंने ये गोवा में मांद्रेम बीच करके एक फटा भी है यहाँ पे. 200 रुपए के लिए मैंने 200 रुपए थे, मैंने 400 दे दिए उस औरत को, क्योंकि मैंने कहा 200 रुपए इतने सस्ते, 400 ले लो मैडम.
No, but I completely get it, you know. My closest friends and my husband constantly saying that, listen, you've got to up your outfit game. And I'm like, I'm having a conversation. Yes, I want to look presentable, but yeah, I don't want to like add unnecessary pressure on myself. Like then it becomes one other thing.
One other thing to worry about, yeah.
And it's okay if it works for you.
I have a solution. Just buy my Ashram Collective clothing. I'm putting out a men's, women's, children's line.
Correct.
Just buy stuff from there. It's going to be all sustainable, properly sourced from all, and no plastic packaging and any of that. So it's good for the planet. Stop ordering from all these other e-com places. They send you too much packaging. Plastic है, ये है, but इतना बड़ा डब्बा आता है, उसमें इतना छोटा सा एक चीज होगा. I get so annoyed. Even when brands send me stuff, I'm like, don't send me shit. I don't want this. I'm not going to use it.
You really follow sustainability on a day-to-day basis?
I do as much as possible. I don't use single-use plastic. In fact, if you can see, even in my room, I've got, I called room service and I told them, get me glass bottles. I carry my own water bottle wherever I go. I don't use so-called mineral water, which is not mineral water. I don't use plastic at all. That's my way of, protecting the environment. And I turned vegetarian. Well, I'm a flexitarian. I eat eggs. But yeah, I think even non-vegetarian food is not just the way, firstly, it's cruel to animals and also very, very bad for the planet in terms of the amount of land that has to be, jungles that have to be cut to create grazing land and to grow food to feed those animals. So yeah, I do whatever I can to be as sustainable as possible. And then I drive an SUV.
Oh. Yeah, I know we all live with the contradictions of our lives.
There's certain things you can't help, and I actually cycle as much as I can everywhere. I don't take my car when not possible, if possible.
Somewhere close by.
Close distances, and living in Mumbai, you've seen the traffic. It's crazy. I almost get run over 10 times a day when I'm on my cycle.
That's not easy.
But I still do it, and I've so far haven't broken any bones.
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah, I know. Yahi karta hai. But tell me, you've seen highs and lows, you've seen movies not working, the one that you just shared, but you've also seen work not getting released. You've done a movie and for some reason which is beyond your control, the work that you've put out there doesn't get released. How do you deal with the lows? Like, what do you do to...
I've seen a lot of lows.
I think all of us have. It's just that most people don't talk about it.
Yeah, I think the key is just, I was talking to a friend of mine and she was saying, you seem to be okay with, I said, I love what I do. So yes, I would want the world to see what I'm capable of and what I've done and see my work and appreciate it. I also want a bit of validation. I'm human at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally.
But if it doesn't release, it's okay because I had fun while shooting or while making that and while playing that character. I've made that a conscious decision in my head that, look, this may not release. When I sign, I know that there's 100 promises, hum ye promotion karenge, ye hai, wo hai, falana dikana, all that happens. And I've seen it over my career from the biggest of producers to newcomers to everyone. I've worked with pretty much everybody. And everyone has issues. So... releasing a film or now the series, it's not the easiest thing. It's in fact the hardest part of, I think, filmmaking is actually releasing something that you've made. Because there's so much out there and,
No, and there are so many variables that have come into play. There's a lot of corporatization that has happened, but then that means that there's a whole other gamut of variables that need to be taken into account. I'm assuming it's not an easy process.
It's not an easy process, but like I said,
I've
had so many lows that I've realized that it's, like you said, it's not in my control. So just enjoy the process of what you're doing, and when it's in your hands, you do your best. If not, let it go.
Yeah, but I think that's a good philosophy, because you're saying, I'm enjoying the moment. Absolutely. I'm not worrying about what happened in the past. I'm not stressing about what is going to happen. I'm going to focus on enjoying being here doing right what I'm doing.
And I think, what's also made it easier for me is with the advent of OTT, that pressure of Friday को release होगी, क्या film चलेगी या नहीं, that pressure is not there anymore. Also, I've been there, done that. I'm not in contention really to be. I'm not up there with. When I was in my first 5-7 years of, I wanted to be a leading man, hero, and all that. It bothered me a lot, and I think that also took away a lot from my performance because I was trying to over-deliver.
Yeah.
I was putting so much pressure on myself.
It happens in every space. No, when you're trying too hard.
Too hard.
You don't realize, but you're losing your very core and very essence.
Spontaneity, the naturalness, everything wasn't there. Now I just flow. And I've of late, over the last 4 years since COVID actually, I mean, one of the positives of COVID was that the OTT space boomed and actors like me started getting a lot of work. And I think I've come into my own even more than I was. I always thought I was a decent actor, but now I really feel like I'm good.
Yeah.
I look at myself and I'm not as critical. I'm like, hey man.
Not bad.
You're pretty good. You're not just a good looking face and a good body.
No, I think if we give ourselves space to grow, it's like a plant, when you're just looking and staring at it saying, where's the shoot and like, phool nikalo.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
It doesn't.
And when you give it a little bit of space, a little bit of sunlight, a little bit of air and, some time, we flourish. I think that's true of all of us.
Yeah, with everything. With relationships, with your career, with everything.
I think the minute you try and put something under a spotlight and saying, okay, make this work, the very reasons why it could have worked disappear.
Absolutely.
Your confidence, your abilities, सब तो वो कचरे खाने में चले जाते हैं. But then, you're left with this insecurity. Oh, I hope it works. I hope it. And that's the only energy that you're carrying, during the process.
Fear. There's that anxiety that you bring to it, and I did that for many years, and I used to wonder, like, I thought I gave a great shot, and when I go back and watch it, I'm like, something's amiss.
Yeah.
The feeling is there, but there's also this feeling of maybe the anxiety and the fear that I'm bringing, that over trying to do
like
too
I
much.
want to do a good job, and the pressure of that.
I want to give a hit shot, and every shot has to be perfect, has to be like.
Yeah, I know a friend of mine who's very big creative director in the advertising space. He had got advice. He was shooting his first film, and Mahesh Bhatt had advised him, and he shared it on one of my previous podcasts. He said, हर बार ताजमहल बनाने की कोशिश मत करो.
I love Bhatt Saab. I love Bhatt Saab. His little one-liners, his pieces of advice. I started my career with him. I was first an assistant director in his company for almost a year. And then that's when he spotted, I guess, something in me and some talent. He signed me for 3 films. So my first 3 films were with him. And he was the best school that I could have asked for. I had done courses of acting and all of that, but having Bhatt Saab on set for my first film and my second film, he was there. It was the best schooling I could have gotten. Yeah, he's amazing.
I think mentors early on in life really do influence the directions that we take, some of our choices.
So true. Yeah. The thing is with Mahesh Bhatt, he has respect for actors. He understands actors. He understands that it's not an easy job. People think actors आते हैं, makeup man में जाते हैं, makeup लगाते हैं, बस ऐश की जिंदगी है, सेट पे spot boy है, juice पिलाते हैं, ये करते हैं. It's not. It's so. You're playing with your nervous system. Every day you go in there and you're creating havoc inside your body. Yeah. So he has an appreciation of that.
No, it's not easy because I used to do theatre. अब theatre में क्या है? आप you stage पे कुछ marking है, and of course you have to remember your lines because there's no cut. The show must go on. But beyond that, technically, it's not as complicated as filmmaking or camera because इसमें it's like अच्छा catch your light भी catch करनी है, emote भी करना है, अपनी spot mark पे भी आना है, position भी lose नहीं करनी है, लेकिन इस सब के बीच में अपने character भी नहीं भूलना है.
Character भी नहीं भूलना है और spontaneity और दिखना नहीं चाहिए कि acting कर रहा है. So you have to lose yourself. But you have to still remember the lines and everything. So, I mean, how am I going to lose myself? You can say that I was lost in that moment, but 99.9% you can do. But at 0.1, you still have to be present.
You have to be present because there is the technical part of filmmaking, So yes, there's the actor that comes to perform, but
it's amazing. But I mean, that high that you get when you've given a great shot or you've done a great scene or had a good day of work. Wow, the sleep that I get at night.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
What do you enjoy more? DJing, or because obviously there is a performance element to DJing as well.
Yes, yeah.
But which do you enjoy more,
I
music
get this
or acting?
asked very often.
Yeah, maybe it's a very cliched question, but I'm
No,
curious.
it's not a cliched question. I don't have an answer for it, because I try to equate DJing with theatre, because you have a live audience.
Yeah, correct. There's
and you know
real-time
instantly,
feedback.
Yeah, real-time feedback, whether you're doing a good job or not.
Yeah.
So that high is instant, and it's shared with the people over there, and it's a shared energy. Whereas on set, when you're doing a film, it is just limited to you and the crew, maybe not even the entire crew, the director, your co-actors.
Yeah, just a
the
small-
DOP will probably be keyed into what you're doing. The rest are too involved in doing their jobs. They're not really focused on what the actors are doing. So I find, I don't know, but off late I've been getting standing ovations on set of my last 2-3
Wow,
shows.
yay.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this is like theatre.
Instant feedback
Yeah.
and instant appreciation.
Yeah. So I still, I know, I love them both. But I
No, but
wouldn't
maybe
give up
it's
one
like,
for the other.
yeah, but maybe it's like comparing apples and oranges. Maybe it's not a fair comparison, because they're two different
My
fields.
first child is acting. So I don't know. The first child is always a little bit more special.
Little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and most parents will disagree with that one, saying we love both children equally.
Equally.
Yeah, and my sister's younger and she will hate this. No, mama loves you more.
She was the spoilt one, the brat.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I think this is a very long debate.
Long debate.
Best not opened on national.
We'll call your sister on the podcast next time and have a debate with her.
Yeah, have a
I'll be the
debate with
moderator.
her. Done. We'll figure it out. What's the one life lesson you've learned along the way that you hold on to today, and that kind of keeps you authentic, sane, motivated?
There was a very rough period that I went through many years ago. Family, all kinds of drama. And I got a random message from Ritik. I don't think he even remembers sending me this message. But he said just one thing. The finest steel has to go through the hottest fire.
That is so true.
And I just read it and I was like, why is he sending me this? And it took me a while
To decipher the
to
message.
decipher what he was. He just sent me that, nothing else. And it was very random because I didn't have a relationship with him where we would exchange messages. But when I did realize why he was sending it to me, it struck me that, wow, this is exactly what I needed to hear. Because I was going through a really rough time and I didn't have support around me because, that really helped me. And whenever I'm going through a rough period, I just remember that. And it reminds me that the universe has brought me to this because I have the tools to tackle this and to solve this. So it gives me the confidence.
I totally buy into that. I think for me, my life started changing when I went from why is this happening to me, and that shifted to this is happening for me, for my growth, so that I can become the person I am meant to be,
Absolutely.
And you're right, it's like sometimes, and I'd heard this line or this quote many years before, and I'm like, "Theek hai for you."
Sounds great.
It sounds great. If you're going through shit, then you'll know. It's not that easy. It's very easy to write this line. So I think in the message may come to you at a different time, but when the time is right, the penny drops and you suddenly understand. And if you're open, you'll understand faster.
Yeah.
But when you understand it, that one quotation can be life-changing, like you just shared,
It's coming from a person like Ritik. For me, that was because I know the struggles that he's had to face, the struggles he's been through before becoming an actor to becoming a superstar overnight. People were like, he was not the son of the biggest star. Rakesh Roshan was a very well-known person, but he then eventually from an actor became a director. And even Rakesh Uncle's struggles have been quite immense, with the production and direction and everything. And Ritik was not considered a star son at that time. There was Abhishek Bachchan who was being launched. There was Tushar Kapoor who was being launched.
Kareena Kapoor
was being launched. So his struggles, even with other physical aspects or whatever. I don't want to, go into that. But even his back that he keeps talking about, his doctors told him you'll never be able to run again.
Wow.
And to him, dancing the way he does, doing action the way he does, to being one of the biggest action stars in our country.
I was seeing some rushes of fighter. I mean, like, he's something else.
He is something else.
Yeah.
And
and to reach there from back issues.
From back issues to everything. The struggles that he's had to go through. That's what really resonated with me. I'm like, he is saying this, there has to be more to it. It's not just a random thing that he broadcasted to 10 people. So, that's what made the penny drop for me, like you rightly said.
No, I think everybody goes through tough times, and the thing is, it's very easy to say, "Arey, wo dekho, overnight star ban gaya, ya overnight cricket mein wo bahut acha ban gaya." But I'm like, everyone only kind of buys into the end goal. They don't realize the whole process, the journey, the process, and that you almost develop a blind spot to that. And the shiny object at the end of the tunnel is what is very exciting. But in order to get that shiny object, the person has literally crawled through mud sometimes to get to that point.
See Ritik, or you take the example of Virat Kohli or Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi or any great sportsman, Michael Jordan. Yes, they have talent, immense talent, Sachin Tendulkar, but they worked their asses off more than anybody else to make sure that talent spoke on the field more than the others. I've had the I've had the good fortune to be able to meet some of these guys and talk to them and know their stories and see them actually putting in that hard work, and I'm like, damn, they deserve every bit of fame and success that they have gotten.
I agree.
It's crazy.
I do agree. No, and I read a lot of biographies and you realize that, literally success is just the tip of the iceberg. There's 90% below, which people don't see.
They don't see the hard work.
And if you imbibe, you want that, but they don't want to imbibe the 90% iceberg below the water. But that's where success is created.
Absolutely.
Right? Thank you so much, Ashmit. It's been an amazing conversation, and I know we've taken up more time than we had anticipated, but it was a fun chat, and I wish you all the very best. Keep playing music, keep acting, and when the medallion goes on sale, please do let me know.
Yes, you will be the first one to know.
All the very best. Have a great event tonight,
so
and a lovely chatting with you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
That's it on this episode of Unbox, and we'll catch you again soon on another one.